This is higher homework. It's paper A. It's a non-calculator paper and we're going to be doing question 22 here. Right, so find the stationary points on the curve given by y is equal to x cubed minus 9x squared plus 24x minus 2 and determine their nature. So this type of question here, stationary points question, will require us to differentiate. If I differentiate, for stationary points the gradient is equal to 0. So for the stationary points, what I'll do then is I'll set dy by dx equal to 0, or the gradient equation basically. I'll then solve for x. Once I solve the x values, I'll find the y values because I've defined the stationary points, so the coordinates I'm looking for. I'll do a nature table to show the nature of the curve, and finally I'll make a statement. So that's the process that I'm going to follow through for this type of work that I'm doing here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll write down the equation first of all. So I've got y is equal to x cubed minus 9x squared plus 24x and minus 2. Okay, so first thing I said we'll differentiate. So dy by dx, because it's in a form where I can just differentiate it, is going to be equal to 3x squared. That's going to be minus 18x, and that's going to be plus 24. And the 2 will go to 0 when we differentiate that out. Okay, so remember for stationary points, dy by dx is going to be equal to 0. And remember that there is the gradient kind of formula. So I could work out the gradient of any point, or I can set it equal to 0 to find out the points. Right, so we're setting that equal to 0, and I've got 3x squared minus 18x plus 24. So to factorise this, what I'll do is I'll take out a common factor first of all. I can take 3 out as a common factor to make it easier, or I can factorise it straight away. But let's take out the common factor and make it a bit easier for ourselves. Okay, so that's going to be minus 6x and plus 8. I'll divide each side by 3, okay? And what I'll do is I'll just remove that 3 that's there. So that just leaves me with x squared minus 6x plus 8. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to factorise that into 2 brackets, and it should factorise out for us. So what we'll do is get the 2 brackets set up. I've got x will multiply together to get the x squared. I need 2 numbers that multiply together to get 8, okay? So, and to make a difference is 6. So what I'm going to go for is I'm going to go for the 4 and the 2, because they can make that out for me, and I'll check that out and see if it works. That sign's a positive, so they're either both positives or they're both negatives. So that sign there saying a negative will tell me they're both negatives in there. So that's me factorised it. What we'll then do is just solve it from there. So I've got x minus 2 equals 0 and x minus 4 equals 0. So from there I can see x equals 2 and x equals 4. So what I'll do from there is I'll then go ahead and work out my y coordinates. So the y coordinates will be, I'll just substitute when x is equal to 2, I'll work that out first. So y, when x is 2, is going to be equal to 2 cubed. So I'm just substituting back up into the top equation here where it says y equals to find out the y coordinate. And that's going to be minus 9 times 2 squared plus 24 times 2, and subtract 2 from that. Let's see if I work that through. I've got 8, I've got there, that's going to be 4. 4 times 9 will give me 36, that's minus 36. That'll give me plus 48 minus 2. And the total that I should get from that, gathering that together, will be 18. So that'll be one of the coordinates that I've got. So the x coordinate was 2 and the y coordinate 18. So that's the first coordinate that I've got. I'll then work out when x is equal to 4. So when x equals 4, I'll work out the y coordinate. So back up again where it says y equals. So that's where I'm going to be working out what y is from there. So I've got 4 cubed minus 9 times 4 squared plus 24 times 4, and I've got minus 2. Okay, so let's work that through. So 4 cubed is going to be 64. And I've got 4 squared, give me 16. 16 times 9 will give me 144. I've got plus 96, that'll be there, and minus 2. So from there, what I can see is, if I gather that up, that'll give me an answer of 14. And from there, what I have is x coordinate 4, and what I worked out was a y coordinate, which is 14. So these are both of my stationary points for this curve that's here. But now what I've got to do is I've got to show the nature of the curve. So what I'll do is I'll just set up a table, and what we'll do from there is we'll find out the nature of the curve. So there's my table. Very simple. Okay then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using x coordinates, and the two coordinates that I know is x equals 2 and x equals 4. So what I'll do is I'll start with a 2 appearing here, and I'll just go along a bit and put a 4 in there. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll be thinking of an x coordinate as the graph approaches 2, so let's use 1. I'll be thinking of a coordinate, an x coordinate, as the graph approaches 4 from 2, so 3. And beyond 4, what we've got is a coordinate of, we'll just go for 5, and we'll just use them as we work through. So remember, in the nature table, you need to be thinking about the dy by dx equation, okay? And what I could do is I could use that equation, I could use this one here, or I could use the two brackets there. For me this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these two brackets. So I'm going to use x minus 2 and x minus 4. So all I'm going to do is substitute these values here into where I see x and just work out whether it's positive or negative. I already know that if I substitute 2 in there, well, 2 minus 2 is 0, and 0 times that other bracket is going to be 0. But I know that already because I already stated that up there. This is the gradient that we're showing here. At 4 it's 0 as well. Okay, so if I substitute a 1 in here, so a 1, that'll be 1 minus 2, and the 1 minus 4, that should give me, when I multiply them together, positive 3. From here, if I substitute 3 in, that's going to give me minus 1. If I substitute 5 into these two places here, or if I use that equation there, I could substitute it in there, that should give me an answer of plus 3 as well. From there, what I can do is I can then work out what the shape of the graph will be like. You know, this is the important part to earn the final 2 marks, okay? So what we're doing is we're working out the shape. Shape of the graph, I've got a positive gradient, so that's positive, going up in that direction there from left to right. Flat there because it's 0, negative there because it's negative 1. When I get to this point here it's flat, and there going up like that. So wherever it turns at the upper point, so it gets to a maximum and then it starts to come down again, that there is a maximum. Where it turns at the bottom, and it's right down at the bottom there, that's a minimum. That's a minimum. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll then make a statement. So I'll just say that the curve has, and I'll just say a, what we'll go for, we'll say that it has a maximum turning point at, and let's make sure we pick the coordinates correctly. So there's the maximum, so that would be the x coordinate of 2, and the x coordinate of 2 gave me a y coordinate of 18. There we go there. And it'll have a minimum turning point at, and remember the coordinate, the x coordinate was 4, so it's going to be 4, and remember I worked out 414 as the coordinates from there. Okay, and that would be the question complete. So let's have a look and see where we're going to gain the 7 marks for this question here. So just around about the process, the first thing would be for differentiating. So differentiating and getting this part here correct. Next part would be for setting dy by dx equal to 0, either here or making sure that it's also in here, okay, on there. Don't lose the zeros as you go along and do this type of work. I'll give another mark for factorising, so I'll go for factorising out to here, or if you factorised at that level there, you'll have a different result, but that should be fine. And for the roots that we'll get out here, these ones here, or the turning point, sorry, from that. Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll get one more mark for calculating out the coordinates there. So these coordinates together, that'll give me one other mark, so that'll be the y values. For setting up the table correctly, and with specific reference to making sure that we've got dy by dx in the table. Okay, and final mark for making a clear statement. Okay, so what we've got there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one here out of 7 marks.